you don't notice it happening. That's the most dangerous part. One moment, you're checking a single notification, and the next thing you know, your sense of time feels warped. Your body hasn't moved, your mind feels oddly tired, and there's a subtle dissatisfaction you can't quite explain. Nothing terrible happened, but nothing meaningful did either. This is not a personal failure. This is not a lack of discipline. This is what life feels like when your attention no longer belongs to you. We often talk about productivity, focus, and motivation as if they are character traits, as if some people are simply wired to stay present, while others are doomed to distraction. But what if that framing is completely wrong? What if the real issue is not willpower, but environment? What if the modern world is structured in a way that quietly rewards distraction and punishes depth? And most of us are playing a game we never agreed to enter. This video is not about quitting technology or demonizing phones, apps, or platforms. It's about understanding the invisible system shaping how you think, how you choose, and ultimately how you live. Because once you understand the system, you can stop being passively shaped by it and start making conscious decisions again. To understand where we are, we need to understand what actually changed. For most of human history, information was scarce. Knowledge was hard to find, slow to travel, and limited to those with access. If you wanted to know something, you had to work for it. You had to ask the right people, read the right books, or be in the right place. But the internet flipped that equation completely. Information is no longer scarce. It is infinite, immediate, and overwhelming. When scarcity disappears, value shifts. And in a world where information is endless, the limiting factor is no longer knowledge. It's attention. You only have so many hours in a day, so many moments of focus, so many mental cycles you can spend. That makes your attention incredibly valuable. Not symbolically valuable, but economically valuable. This is where most people misunderstand the problem. They assume the attention economy exists because people are weak, bored, or addicted. But the attention economy exists because attention is the most valuable resource in the modern world. Whoever controls it wins. Platforms don't compete on usefulness. They compete on time spent. They succeed when you stay, scroll, refresh, and return. Not because they hate you, but because that is how the system rewards them. Once you see this clearly, something unsettling becomes obvious. You are not the customer. Your attention is the product. Your emotions, reactions, and habits are the raw materials being refined into engagement. And the better a system understands human psychology, the more effectively it can shape your behavior without you ever noticing. This is not about conspiracy. It's about incentives. Algorithms don't wake up and decide to harm you. They simply optimize for what keeps you engaged. And what keeps humans engaged is not depth, meaning, or long-term fulfillment. It's novelty, emotional intensity, social validation, and unpredictability. These are ancient survival mechanisms being activated in a modern context. The problem is not that these systems exist. The problem is that your brain was never designed to resist them constantly. Every notification, every alert, every subtle interruption fragments your focus. And focus is not something you can instantly turn back on. When your attention breaks, your mind doesn't snap back to clarity. It drifts. It wanders. It takes time to return. What makes this especially dangerous is that most interruptions feel trivial. A message here, a notification there, a quick check that turns into 20 minutes. Individually, these moments seem harmless. Collectively, they reshape how you experience life. Your days become chopped into fragments. Your thoughts become shallow. Your ability to sit with discomfort weakens. Over time, something deeper erodes. Your sense of agency, the feeling that you are choosing how to spend your time, rather than reacting to whatever appears in front of you. You start living in response mode, responding to messages, trends, updates, opinions, outrage, and novelty. Rarely initiating, rarely going deep, rarely staying still long enough to hear your own thoughts. This is why distraction feels bad in a way that's hard to articulate. It's not just wasted time. It's the quiet loss of alignment. You feel busy, but not fulfilled. Stimulated, but not satisfied. Informed, but not wise. Connected, but oddly alone. At this point, many people reach for extreme solutions. Digital detoxes, phone bans, quitting platforms entirely. And while those approaches can be helpful temporarily, they often miss the deeper issue. The goal is not to escape modern life. The goal is to live inside it consciously. To do that, we need to shift the conversation away from productivity and toward attention ownership. Productivity asks how much you can produce. Attention ownership asks who decides what you think about. One is about output. The other is about agency. When you don't control your attention, your values don't matter as much as you think they do. You can care deeply about growth, relationships, creativity, or learning. But if your attention is constantly hijacked, those values never translate into action. Your life becomes a collection of intentions that never quite materialize. This is where the discussion becomes uncomfortable, because reclaiming attention requires facing discomfort, boredom, loneliness, uncertainty. Moments where there is no stimulation, no distraction, no easy escape. Modern systems are very good at protecting us from these feelings, but those feelings serve a purpose. They are signals. They tell you when something in your life needs attention in a deeper sense. When you eliminate every moment of mental quiet, you eliminate reflection. And without reflection, growth becomes accidental instead of intentional. You react instead of choose. You absorb instead of create. This doesn't mean technology is the enemy. Technology has expanded human possibility in extraordinary ways. It gives access to ideas, communities, and knowledge that were once unimaginable. It amplifies voices that were historically ignored. It enables learning at a scale that previous generations could only dream of. The issue is not access, it's balance. The internet is very good at answering questions, but terrible at helping you ask the right ones. It can show you what others are doing, but it cannot tell you what matters to you. That work requires stillness, depth, and sustained attention. One of the most subtle costs of the attention economy is how it reshapes relationships. When communication becomes constant but shallow, intimacy suffers. You know what people are doing, but not how they are feeling. You stay updated, but not connected. Conversations become efficient, curated, and controlled. Real connection, however, is messy, unpredictable, and slow. This doesn't mean online connection is meaningless. For many people, it is lifeline. It enables belonging across distance and difference, but it cannot fully replace presence. Presence requires attention, and attention requires boundaries. So where does this leave us? The answer is not withdrawal. It's intentional friction, creating spaces in your life where attention is protected rather than exploited, where depth is possible again, where you are not constantly being pulled outward. This begins with awareness, not guilt, not shame, awareness. Notice how often you reach for stimulation. Notice how rarely you sit with a single thought. Notice how your mood subtly shifts after long periods of passive consumption. This is not about judging yourself. It's about understanding the terrain. From there, the shift is not about doing more. It's about choosing fewer things more deliberately. Reading something long instead of many things short. Having conversations without multitasking. allowing boredom to exist without immediately anesthetizing it. These small acts rebuild your capacity for focus over time. The ultimate danger of the attention economy is not distraction, it's passivity. A life where everything is seen but little is integrated, where opinions are formed quickly but understanding remains shallow, where outrage replaces action and stimulation replaces meaning. The future is not doomed, but it does require effort. Not heroic effort, but conscious effort. To resist being endlessly amused. To choose depth over noise. To protect your attention not as an act of productivity, but as an act of self-respect. Because how you spend your attention is how you spend your life. And no system, no platform, no algorithm should be allowed to decide that for you. If this idea resonated with you, take a moment after this video ends. Don't click immediately. Don't scroll right away. Sit with the thought. Ask yourself where your attention actually goes and whether that reflects the life you want to live. That question alone is a powerful beginning.